Hey, it's Chris. How's it going? I wanted to make you a video to show you a little bit how it could work to have buyer agent commissions paid through seller concessions and assisted with down payment assistance. So take a peek. Now, I know the NAR settlement is still proposed. There's a lot of dust yet to be settled. I know the NAR or the Department of Justice, they're poking their fingers in things. I've heard different things. I've heard everything's going to be the same from no, we're not going to have buyer agent commissions paid on the seller side. It's got to be on the buy side. So I'm not going to tell you how it's going to happen, but what I want to show you is if we're in a situation where you do have to have buyer agent commissions paid on the buyer side and not on the seller side, here's a way to make things work through seller concessions and adding down payment assistance. So here we go. In this particular situation, I'm assuming a $400,000 purchase price and 3% down. So I'm just going to assume this buyer only has $12,000. They only have the 3% down. They do not have more money available for this transaction. And so in that case, that 3% down, of course, is $12,000. Their taxes would be $2,000. Their insurance would be $2,000. And a 3% commission would be $12,000. So I put in $12,000 of seller concessions to start with. When we're looking at our conventional loan, 3% down, we can see the payment's going to be a little bit over $3,000. The principal and interest is going to be $2,600. Taxes there, insurance there, your hazard insurance there, your mortgage insurance there. So all in, a little bit over $3,000. So in this particular situation, if we had a down payment of $12,000, we had tax and insurance of $3,200, prepaid interest $1,100, closing costs $3,000, lending, underwriting's $1,300, 1% discount for rate buy down, and buyer commission of $12,000. Again, we throw in that seller concessions of $12,000. Well, in this particular case, we would now have $24,581 due from the buyer, but our buyer only has $12,000, right? So in this particular case, what we would need to do is we would need to increase the seller concessions, which is now allowed because Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and FHA have all said we can use concessions to pay buyer agent commissions, and it does not count towards the 3% max. So we had 3% concessions in here, which historically has been the maximum. Well, now that changes. So now I can add on an additional $12,000 of concessions. So I'm going to say now we have concessions of $24,000. So we have concessions of $24,000. Now we can see that our buyer is still coming up with the 3% down or the 3% out of pocket. Now, let's say you're in a situation and the situation is like, okay, the seller, they don't want to add an additional $12,000. Maybe it's a competitive situation, whatever it is. So we can't do $12,000 towards seller concessions. Well, we can go back to our 3% concessions, and then we can add in some down payment assistance. And a lot of people think, oh, well, down payment assistance is only for people with really low income. It's actually incorrect. If you were to go onto the CHFA website, you would see most CHFA programs have an income limit that's $160,000. And you can add down payment assistance onto FHA, conventional, and yes, even VA buyers with zero down can add down payment assistance. Pretty cool, huh? So we go back to our calculator here. We'll see I did increase the interest rate and payment a little. CHFA sometimes is about 0.25% higher interest rate than other programs. So in this case, the payment, is a little bit higher, but we can keep our out-of-pocket about the same, or even reduce our out-of-pocket. So again, down payment in this case is $12,000, insurance, taxes, $3,200, this stuff all stays the same, right? But we added in $15,000 of down payment assistance. We still have our buyer commission of $12,000. Again, we're still assuming it's paid on the buyer side, not on the seller side. And we have seller concessions of 12 grand. So actually, we can have this buyer come up with less than $12,000 total out of pocket in this situation by a combination of down payment assistance plus 3% seller concession. So that's a quick way to solve for a situation where you may have buyer side commissions being paid on the buyer side, not on the seller side. So hopefully you find this helpful. If you have any questions, of course, give me a call. Have a great day.